so if we're here having this conversation, then I'm going to assume that you have an Aerogarden or some sort of hydroponic system and you need to empty it. And there's probably a couple of plants that are hanging around and you want to know if you can transplant them. You can. There's just a couple of things you're going to need to know. So let's take a look at what they are. Hello my darlings and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiri Martin and I am just a city girl who wishes she was a country girl who is currently living in the burbs. And if this is your first time here, then be sure to stick around for lots of hints and tips on micro homesteading, growing your own food, becoming more self-sufficient. If this is the kind of thing you'd like to hear more about, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when I post new videos in the future. So for me, there's really only 2 times a year that I'm going to try and transplant from my Aerogarden. That's typically in the spring and also now in the fall. So typically I'm going to be doing it now because I want to get my Aerogarden seeded so I can continue growing food over the winter when it's too cold for me to grow outside. I'm in a zone 5B, so it's just, I can't grow past October for the most part. So what I'd like to do is to get my Aerogarden all cleaned out. I did a video the other day on how to clean the Aerogarden. I will put a link down below to that video if you want to check that out. And I had done one side the other day, and the other side I still had some plants that were kicking around and I didn't want to get rid of them. So today I'm going to take you through how to transplant them so we can keep them growing, and then I will clean up the side of the Aerogarden and plant it with some peppers and lettuce and some other things for over the winter. So one thing we really need to talk about right off the bat is you have to understand that you are going from a purely water scenario in hydroponics, and if you're going to be moving it over to soil, there is a good chance that it is not going to work. I'm not going to lie and say this is foolproof. It is not. I have done it and had it work fantastic, and I've also had it where it's failed miserably. So there's always that chance that it's not going to work, but my view on that is it's better to try and potentially save the plants than to just throw them away and reseed it, because like I don't want to waste anything. So that's what I like to do. But I just want you to know that there is a good chance that it's not going to work. But there are things you can do to mitigate that, to increase your chance of success, and that's what we are going to look at today. So this is the sad state of the other side of my Aerogarden Farm Plus. I still have a little bit of cherry tomato. It's one of the ones that came with my Aerogarden. Some of the purple opal basil, and at the back I have some rainbow chard. I have saved some seeds from this tomato in the hopes that it is an heirloom and not a hybrid, but we'll find out. Oh, there goes one. I did a video the other day on how to save seeds, so I will put that down below so you can check that out if you want to. So yeah, so let me get started on taking this apart and I will show you what we need to do. So one of the things you're going to need is some potting soil, so that's important to get. And then you are going to want to get a decent sized pot to put the plants in. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just to lift the top off to see what we're dealing with and to see how big the root system is. Put it into the sink just for a second so I can dump out the bottom and move it out of the way, and then we can get going. So let's see what we've got. Oh, there's a lot of roots in there. All right, so get that in the sink. And then I'll just show you what's going on in here. So lots of muck and guck. Unfortunately, right here, I can't even get it out. We lost some of the roots when I pulled it out. They are all the way into the pump. So got a good feeling the pump probably wasn't running as good as it could be. If you watched my other video on the cleaning the Aerogarden, you'll know that it's been horribly neglected, obviously, because I've been outside so much. So I'm going to have to try and, do a little bit better at that next year. But for now, I'm just going to get this dumped out and then move this out of the way. I just want to take a second to talk about the whole root fiasco a second ago. So one thing that's important to know about hydroponic systems, well, plants in general, but you're going to notice it in a hydroponic system in a way that you won't, obviously, if they're in the ground. The roots will go everywhere. anywhere they can go, they will. So like mine grew into the pump in a different hydroponic system. If you have a drain and it's going through there, the roots will get in there. So sometimes you can do some root cleaning or management. I don't, obviously, but you can go and lift up the trays and trim the roots a bit if you want to. I don't think it's worth stressing the plants, but it is something you can definitely do. If you are going to do that, then you're going to want to make sure that you are trimming the longest roots. Those are kind of like the feelers that are going out and searching around. So you're going to have less stress on the plant by trimming those. But it's just up to you personally if you would like to do that or not. So I just give it to you as an option. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to do is to start cleaning this and starting to get the roots out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on the tap quickly to give the roots underneath a quick rinse, just to kind of give them a cleaning. Okay, so looking at this, we have the tomato roots, you know, they might not be so bad. And the basil roots are quite thin. The longest or the biggest root mass is from the chard at the back, which is okay, because I'm giving up on that one. I'm not going to save that. It's almost done. There's a very little bit left, and I'm just going to let that one go. So the first one I'm going to try and do is the basil, just because it's so slim. There we go. And I'm just going to just carefully pull that through. So I've got the whole plant with the roots attached. I'm just going to set that down for a second and then see if I can work out the tomato. Basically, you want to damage the roots as little as possible. There's going to be some damage, like we already lost some of the roots from, I'm assuming it was the tomato because that was close to the center in the pump. But we're going to do what we can to not damage anything else. It's especially the ones that are closest to the plant here that we're not going to want to damage as much as possible. So basically, I'm just going to be squeezing as much as I can of the roots right by the opening, and ever so slowly pulling it out. This one's actually not giving me too much problem, and I think we're good. Oh, you can see here, I think so, yeah, the roots, they're all attached just along the base of the top of the Aerogarden, and there. There's going to be times that it definitely does not go that easy. I'll just try and take out the chard just so you can see a harder one to take out, even though I'm not going to save it. It's a lot bigger. There's actually, I can feel it in here, a really hard part of the plant. It's grown quite woody, it feels like, around the basket, the grow basket. I'm actually not sure I'm even going to be able to get this one out. Oh no, she's not going to budge. Okay, so this is one of those situations where I'm just going to have to do a serious trimming. I'll be right back. I got to get some scissors, which I told you to have, and I should have had mine because that would have been better prepared. All right, so I'm just going to cut that off. All of the roots, I'm not even going to waste those. They're going to go into my compost bin, so they can still be doing some good. This is crazy. I don't know if you can see it, but the roots of the rainbow, the yellow chard, they've got a yellowish hue to them as well. Let me see on the camera. So they're crazy yellow. This plant is so vibrant. I love it. I had a red one, but it wasn't nearly as vibrant as the yellow. So anyways, those are all going to go in the compost once we can just take all of this off. It's actually pushed out the grow basket itself on this one. So this one is going to be, actually, you know what? That's a lost cause. I'm going to move that out of the way, and then we'll take a look at the other ones. Because you don't need to see me struggle, though I'm sure it might be entertaining. So you have two choices here. A lot of people will say you can just plant them with the plastic grow basket on it. I'm not a fan of plastic. I do use them in the Aerogarden because I need to. If anybody has a hack to grow without the baskets, I would love to know it because I'm always trying to get plastic out of my life. But I definitely don't want to go putting it in the soil. So What you're going to do is get a real good sturdy pair of scissors. I have these Cuisinart ones. You want to cut each of the little posts. Some of these are open on the bottom and some of them are attached. So this was one of the open ones. You can just pull it right out, set it aside so you don't lose it. That one is attached, so we'll leave that for a second. And just carefully, oops, okay. Try not to drop the plant in the sink. That's what happens when you don't have enough hands. And you're going to want to make sure that you're not cutting through any of the roots. And this plastic is pretty hard. I'm struggling to cut it. So you're going to want to make sure that you're not using dainty scissors. That's the easy part. Now you've got to try and cut through the plastic rim. Just be careful. There we go. And then with that done, we can carefully take our plant out. So we have it almost done now. There's still these plastic pieces stuck in there. So what I'm going to do first is figure out the ones that are not joined, which should be those. And then we have these other ones that are joined. So it's all about doing the least amount of damage. Cut that off. And like I said, you don't have to do this. There's a lot of people that will just, because there is a chance here that you're doing some root damage. So there are going to be the people that would rather just put it in the ground. That's a decision you're going to have to make yourself. I just worry that it's going to restrict the plant and its growth as well as having the plastic there. So it's just something that I choose to do. But my plants may suffer a bit more from it. Okay, so that's the last piece out. This guy is all good to go. I'm just going to put that down for a second. And then the next step is to get some of that potting soil into the pot. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. So I've put a little bit of dirt in there. And then what I'm going to want to do is I'm actually just going to rinse these roots one more time. Try and get them to hang down a bit more. Now, ideally you want to try and spread the roots out a bit. It's kind of hard because this is a fully mature plant. It's much easier if you're spreading or transplanting them when they're younger. But try and get the roots to spread out a bit. It's going to do what it's going to do anyways, but so I'll put that there. There's some dirt. I'm going to get my potting mix, add a little bit more in, and then we'll take it, try and center the plant, pack it down a little bit. And then the main key to giving this the best chance of success is you're going to want to keep it super wet, like way wetter than you would ever normally keep any of your plants, at least for the first week and a bit, because you have to remember that this is coming out of a purely liquid environment. This plant is not used to getting its nutrients from the soil. So as it kind of starts to figure out how to do that, you have to keep it with a lot of liquid in there. So it's at least got the same sort of water around it as it was used to. Okay, so that's as good as that guy's gonna get for now. It's not as strong, it's not supporting itself. It was kind of sticking out the side of my Aerogarden downstairs. It got kind of pushed out of the way by the chard because the chard was ginormous in there originally. So what I'm gonna do now is, one, try and get some of this dirt out of the drain. Probably if you're gonna do this in the sink, you should put the stopper in the sink first. That would be a good idea. And then what you're gonna wanna do is really get it wet. Once I've done the tomato, I'm going to definitely fill the sink up and let these guys just sit in here to really soak up the moisture. And then I will take them back downstairs and put them in front of the Aerogarden so that they can benefit from the grow lights down there. So I'm going to finish transplanting the tomato in the exact same way, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's them. sitting in some water in the sink. Got the tomato transplanted. So I'm probably going to leave them in there for about an hour just to sit and soak. And then what I'll do is I will, like I said, take them downstairs and put them in front of the grow lights from the Aerogarden. But I'll put them in a little tray so they can sit in some water. Like I said, this is not something I would normally do because you don't want to get root rot or anything like that. But just for the first week and a bit, we want to keep them as wet as possible. Okay, so that's pretty much it for transplanting the vegetables and herbs out of your Aerogarden. So all you want to remember is do the least amount of damage to the roots, cut off the plastic, keep them as wet as possible, and don't give up on them too soon. They're probably going to start looking worse before they look better. Keeping in mind, like I said, they're going from being in water to suddenly being in a different medium that they need to extract food from in a different way. So don't give up on them. Like with anything in gardening, you don't have much to lose. Just try anyways. So give them a chance, keep them wet, and then hopefully in about a week and a half, they'll start to perk up a bit and you'll have some mighty fine potted plants. So hopefully you found that helpful. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I would love to chat with you in the future. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them down below and I will be sure to get back and answer any of the questions that are there. And yeah, I just like to know, have you tried this before? And if you do try it for the first time, leave a comment as well and let me know how it goes. Okay, so it's been a few days and I just wanted to give an update on the plants. The basil is still looking really great. It actually didn't get at all wrinkly or anything with the leaves. The tomato, sorry, they're still dripping everywhere. Tomato's looking good too. So that's great. And I lied about the chard. I couldn't throw it out, so I just stuck it in the water to see if it would root. It's still going, no roots yet, but I still wanted to give it a chance. So until next time, make food grow.